Hey everybody, what is up? Welcome back to Final Trade. There's this attitude and opinion that we see sometimes, which is, well, there are just too many investors doing this nowadays. Rudy has brought in too many people with too much money and they hoard too many boxes. And so in the future, none of these boxes are going to be worth anything. And, you know, I- it's the kind of attitude that just at the very beginning, before I kind of sit down and think about it for a while, I initially just want to say, nah, I don't think that's right. Just from all the years I spent doing stock investing, where you will see people with ideas like this that are just kind of not thought through, not really carefully, critically considered, and they will just kind of repeat them in order to kind of fit in with the negativity crowd and to sound smarter. And so I wanted to throw some qualitative arguments against that idea at you today. And so a few weeks ago, I posted this poll on the channel. How many sealed TCG boxes have you bought for long-term investment so far in 2022? Now, keep in mind, I posted this sometime, maybe the first week of November. And so it is missing anything people might have bought in the last 2 months of the year. So maybe we could add 20% to these numbers, to the numbers on the left side, that is, the number of boxes, not to the percentages, obviously. But several interesting things I found here, and I'm going to make some arguments based on it. I mean, first of all, thanks for replying to this poll. Like 20% of my subscribers replied. I was really excited that I got that high of an interaction, so that was cool. But so the very first thing is, Final Trade is like 95% focused on TCG investing. That's nearly the sole focus of the channel. It's certainly the majority, the main focus of the channel. And even then, 32% of people have not put any TCG boxes back for investment this year. Now, there will be a couple of subsets of those people too that I can think of. One is people who maybe historically invested in TCG boxes, and this year, for whatever reason, they are just so negative that they haven't bought anything, but in the future, they will restart buying TCG boxes. Okay. And second, the other small subset would be people who only invest in singles. And I know, I mean, I have a patron who does nothing but huge buys of singles for grading for investment. And, he doesn't seem interested in sealed boxes uh, much at all, maybe a little bit, but his main thing is singles. And so people like that could be investing significant money in TCGs, but not sealed boxes. But again, the main argument that kind of the economic doomers will come back to is, well, the sealed boxes will be worth nothing in the future because there are too many of them being hoarded in closets today. And so, to the extent that some of these people who voted for zero are investing solely in singles, they do not affect that argument. They aren't part of that argument. So, the second group of people, 45% said they have bought between 1 and 20. So, maybe we would suspect that all of these groups will kind of favor people on the left side of these ranges. And, in general, if 45% of my viewers have bought maybe one box a month, that's not really going to affect supplies of boxes long term. And, one box a month, it's a nice hobby for those people and they have fun with it. They enjoy the channel and they enjoy talking and doing things and being involved in this community. But long term, they're not going to have a big impact on the supply of boxes, the liquidity of the market, the volume of sales that goes on once these things are out of print. And they certainly will not have an effect on the overall price of these things in the long term. And, something else to mention here is between just Magic, Flesh and Blood, and Pokemon, there's somewhere around 17 or 18 releases a year. And we're just talking main expansions. And so if you are putting back about one box a month and there are about 18 releases a year, you're not even capturing a box of every release of those three main games that we focus on this channel. Now, the next group, already dropping down to 15% of respondents, 21 to 50 boxes a year. And so we might say maybe this is 3 boxes a month. And certainly it's enough to start getting into one or more box of every expansion of the three main games we cover. And this is where we could start to argue that people could have an effect on the market in the future. But again, we should expect, if we could see a distribution of actual number of boxes put back, if we did not have to divide these people into these big buckets, and instead we could divide them into single digit buckets or single number buckets, really. And so we could say, how many of you have put back 21 boxes? Now, how many have put back 22? And how many have put back 23? I think what we would see is many more people near the left sides of these ranges than the right sides. And so 3 boxes a month, yeah, this is where you could actually start to make an argument that people could have an influence on the market in the future. And certainly the next set, 51 to 100 boxes a year, but now we're down to only 6% of people who responded. And the last set, over 100 boxes per year, 3%. So if 233 votes were cast and 3% of them were over 100 boxes a year, well, that's 7 people out of the respondents. And spoiler alert, I was one of those 7. So I know there are some big whales out there, and I don't really consider myself a big whale in this. I mean, I have a patron who bought over 100 boxes of Double Masters 2022 collectors. I have another patron who bought high 6 figures amount of the same product. And so there are people out there just spending preposterous amounts of money on some of these products. And my point with all of this is, on this channel, we focus much more on the investing side. I'm not a terribly entertaining person. I think I am probably a educational channel more than an entertaining channel. But when you look at somebody like Rudy, Rudy's channel has about 300 times as many subscribers as I do, but he is much more entertaining. And it is not uncommon to scroll the comments of his videos and find multiple people saying something to the effect of, well, I've never touched a magic card in my life, but I watch all your videos. And essentially, those people are there for entertainment. And likewise, most of the people in the 0 category here on my survey, most of those 32% are here for information, education, entertainment, and not here because they are looking for actionable TCG investing advice. And so for Rudy, that's going to be even higher because he is more of an entertaining person. He's more of a showman, he's more emotional, and he's just more energetic about his presentation than I am. And so I would suspect that if you looked at his subscriber base, if you did this same survey over on his channel, I bet it's less than 1% of people watching his channel are putting back over 100 boxes per year. And, when we get out into talking about 18 expansions between these 3 games, and you get into those kind of numbers, even if you multiply out all those numbers, you're talking about a few thousands of boxes of each of the expansions being put back every year. And ultimately, those boxes do not sit on the market forever. They get consumed. And those investors who put them back, they trickle them out onto the market on their own timelines. In fact, I've talked with a lot of people on this channel who are putting boxes back in their closet, and they really have no time horizon for this investment. They have no plan on how they will eventually liquidate it. They just know this is a decent way to diversify your overall investments, and it's fun for them. They enjoy being part of it. And they kind of figure, I'll worry about how to sell this and liquidate it sometime off in the future. And so they're not even thinking about when they will put these on the market. And to the extent that we have investors on this channel and in the community at large who definitely do want to sell these, maybe who think I will sell them on a 5 or a 10-year timeline, they're still not going to put all those boxes out at the same time. And as I've said more recently, the number of boxes coming on and off the market all the time is huge. And so ultimately, I just don't think that having a few thousands of boxes of each of these expansions sitting in closets dispersed all over the country and all over the world, and those boxes slowly coming onto the market at unknown times way out in the future really does much to the market. And there's demand for these boxes in excess of their supply. We know that because the prices go up. As soon as they're out of print, most things start going up. If not as soon as they're out of print, then within a couple of years, they start marching upwards. And, we can look to some more recent cases of sets. I think Throne of Eldraine is a really good example. It's kind of way out on the right side of the curve, that it's a set that was released in 2019. It went out of print, 15, 18 months ago, and it's already at about twice the original distributor price in only being out of print 15, 18 months. And so we see even recent products where people might say, well, Rudy has dragged too many investors into this community, into the world. He's encouraged too many people to sink too much money into all of this stuff. If he had, we should be seeing signs of it with more recent product, especially 2020 era product. And yet we see those booster boxes, Throne of Eldraine and Ikoria, Core 21, Theros, those kind of things. We see the prices slowly going up, just as we've always seen prices slowly go up after products go out of print. So I don't think we're seeing anything different today than we've ever seen. Specifically right now on 2021 and 2022 era product, we're in this period of weird market dynamics, overprinting, too many products, too high of print numbers, and people basically being completely exhausted wallet-wise. And so I think it's going to take a couple years to see good price movement on these things, but ultimately we will see good price movement on it. And one thing I've learned from over 20 years in the stock market is comment sections are always full of people talking about what they will do in the future, what they think will happen. But ultimately, most predictions are wrong. And most people do not follow through when they say, well, if the price comes down, I'll buy in. Or if it crashes, I'll buy a bunch. Or, when it goes up, I'll sell a bunch, things like that. Most people don't actually follow through on those things. And so we can have a lot of people who like to watch channels, especially like Rudy, but also like me, who say, I'm interested in being a part of this community. But ultimately, most of them are putting very few, if any, boxes back in their closet for the long term. And a few people are putting tons back. I think those people do really well long term. That's why I'm doing it. So let me know what you think. I didn't want to get too deep into numbers on this. I especially didn't want to turn this into a spreadsheet video, but I thought it was worth talking about and trying to make some qualitative arguments to people on why I believe there just aren't that many people doing this, and there just aren't that many boxes getting put back, and the boxes that do get put back don't have that much of an impact in the long term. So let me know what you think. Other ideas related to this, because I know this is kind of a very high level analysis. We're not down into the numbers in a spreadsheet and making tables and stuff like that like we sometimes are. So let me know what you think. Otherwise, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Join me on Final Trade. Thanks a lot.